So once again, welcome to today's webinar, which is with hopefully some familiar faces for you that you've already met, because it's a webinar about all of the current different products that we offer as a group. So whilst the majority of our webinars have been centered around perhaps Voly Financial or the APA platform or our Pinpoint product, we've also got Stuart Willis here, as well as Henry Featherstone, who hopefully you've met by now. And we're all going to talk a little bit about what the individual products do, as well as that kind of bigger vision for what the group will become in terms of one overarching solution. So I'll just give everyone a quick moment to get ready and get settled before we then begin the webinar. As usual, please feel free to drop us a message in the chat just to say hello and let us know where you're from. That's always nice. And if not, as usual, any questions you've got throughout the webinar, always do please go ahead and put them in that chat. The right person or the best placed person to answer your question will then answer at the end. So I'll just wait a little moment. Perfect. So hopefully everybody's all ready then. So let me just firstly make sure that you are aware of everyone that's on the call today. So my name's Joe and I work for Voly. That's the financial management product that the group offers. And I work in the implementation team. So basically that's onboarding new clients. I'm also here with Anna, who's one of our trainers on the Voly side as well. Stuart Boyd is here from Pinpoint Works. Stuart Willis is here from Workrest, and Henry, last but not least, is head of our Treasury and Payments desk as well. So let me just click onto the next slide then before I dive in and talk about the Voly financial products, because we'd like to make sure that you know all of the different products that the group offers. So everything started in 2016, and the first product that Voly offered was Voly, the financial management product, including our integrated cards and payments, which I'll touch on in a minute. The next product was our APA product that allows you to seamlessly manage your charters back to back if needed, again with those integrated accounts and cards. The business then in 2023 acquired Pinpoint Works, which allows you to manage refit periods, new builds and also shipyard time really handily, and Stu Boyd will talk us through that in a moment. The most recent acquisitions then were workrest and Voly Crew Solutions. So they're really the newest products that the group is offering. Now, workrest is all about hours of work, hours of rest, as well as planning crew leave across the vessel. And there's also currently in testing an in-out board as well, which is getting more and more functionality as time goes on. Linked to that is the integration between workrest and Voly Crew Solutions, who offer not just payroll, but a full HR product as well. And that's something that we're going to be speaking to you clients more and more about in the future, particularly as that integrates with workrest. So those, as well as our FX offering, which hopefully most of those Voly clients that do use Voly Financial will be aware of, are our individual products. Currently, a big focus is on the integration between them, and that's as we move towards that ERP, that vision of a one-stop shop for everything you need in the industry, and that's really the vision of our founder. So what we'd like to do today is talk you through a little bit the products, each one, and also how they're integrating one with the other. I'll just say it one last time. Any questions at all you've got, pop them in the chat and we'll get started. So let me just stop sharing this PowerPoint and quickly nip over to the Voly dashboard. So hopefully everyone's able to see this now. So Voly Financial for your operational is a full financial management product for the yachting industry. And it also comes with integrated accounts and cards from our current partner. What I'm showing you now is the dashboard. Now, Voly is a huge platform which has so much functionality. So we'd love to give you a bespoke demo so that we can understand how we can work with your requirements. But the dashboard gives you a snapshot of the kind of things that you can do within the platform. So let me just talk you through it really quickly. At the top here, you can see our invoices which are due both from and to the boat, as well as here in the top right corner, the amount we've spent versus that budgeted amount, which is one of the key features, that ability to keep an eye on the real live updating balances on your accounts, as well as reporting. Here we can see the approval and request functionality. So this relates to the generation of purchase orders directly from the platform, seamlessly adding the invoice when you've got it from the supplier, and then it going through that necessary approval flow depending on the vessel's needs. Here you can see these are our integrated Volley Money accounts. So these come provided by our banking partner and they're live integrated into the platform. So these are our real-time balances. So that is really the very high level discussion about what Volley can do. But the real beauty is that everyone can log in at their level and do what they need to do. And that can all contribute then to the seamless financial management of the vessel. So let's imagine then I'm a head chef, I'm on board. What can I use Volley for? Well, that would likely be managing my balances and budgets for my own department. I could spend in various currencies using our integrated Volley prepaid cards provided by our partner. And then all I'd need to do when I have used it is log on to my mobile phone, pull up the Volley app, take a photo of the receipt, assign a category and a description, and then that would go directly to my yacht manager and appear in all of the reports. If I'm going out to suppliers to get quotes, I can also generate purchase orders. And then when I get the invoice back from the supplier, when it's at the relevant stage, I can add that invoice in and then send that on for further approval. So again, I can come in and do what I need to do and all the information's inputted. Next then, we've got the yacht management team, or what we call the administrator users. So they're the people that really oversee all of the yacht's finances in one single place. And this is where Volley really comes into its element. So just to demonstrate this, let me just click across the top into the banking page. So if I'm an administrator user and I click into the banking page and it loads, what I'm going to see is the balances of all my accounts. So not only can I have some external ones at the top here, but I've also got our integrated cards and accounts. So these update in real time, like I said, absolutely everything is there. As an administrator user, I'd likely be the one who would be loading the crew's prepaid card, so I can really control exactly how much they have available to spend at any given time. Also, I would be probably at the top of the bespoke approval chain. So whatever works for my vessel is what we would implement for you. So if we just navigate across the top into our approvals tab, you'll see a little bit what that looks like. So let's say that that head chef's added that invoice, it's gone to the captain for that first approval, and now it's sat here waiting for my approval. And all I'd need to do is click in and give a minimum of a couple of characters to approve it, along with a message. And that would add a stamp in there with our audit trail to show that I, as the administrator, let's say I'm the yacht manager, has approved that. And that's brilliant. The beauty of the approval flow is it means the end of WhatsApp groups to approve things with thumbs up or love hearts, and also the end of very long email chains with technical supervisors, etc., giving their opinion and approval. We hear a lot of stories about that, and this is where you can do that directly in Volley. Last but not least then, for an administrator, you'd also have the ability to pay those invoices directly from the Volley Money account. So that means that when the invoice is fully approved, you'd have the option to make use of our free payment schemes. That's the SEPA payment scheme if you're in the European area, the NACHA scheme in the United States, and also UK Faster if your boat does find itself in the UK paying a UK supplier. All of those accounts that I've just mentioned, as well as the Volley prepaid cards, are totally auto-reconciling, which means that you'll no longer have to spend your time going in at the end of each month with your printed statement from the bank alongside what's been inputted manually by crew, perhaps into a spreadsheet currently. So that's where we always find that you save a lot of time when you do move fully over to using Volley. Finally then, what about family office or owner's office users? Well, Volley's got a bespoke user level called a reporting user. So this would be if I wanted to give that owner's office member direct access to the platform, just to go in and check the balances, look at the reports without me even having to produce them for the owner's team. And that would allow them, if I just very quickly show you, to come into our reports tab and have a look at these reports at any moment. If we have a look at just one of them, this is our budget to actual report. Again, this is pulling all the data live and in real time. And this would show me the actual amount I've spent versus the budgeted amount in this month of October last year. So that really shows just how you can end up with one place for all of your yacht's financial management with those cards and accounts as well, all through Volley. I can't stress enough how people who do move away from their current solution to Volley find that they save an awful lot of time. So before I come to an end on what Volley can do, just also to add, we in the onboarding team spend an awful lot of our time working to find that bespoke solution for our clients. So giving people visibility or permission to do what you need them to do is where Volley is absolutely perfect for you, because it's totally permissions based. If you actually want the captain to be able to do a little bit more or a little bit less, that's something we can input. And that's what we do when you first transition to us. That's our job, is to make sure everything's seamless. When you're done with onboarding, you also have a dedicated account manager. So you've got that one point of contact. You're not going to be passed from pillar to post at all. That will be the person you go to. You can make use of them via WhatsApp, email, our live chat, or phone. Like I said, if you do want a bit more of an in-depth demo so we can show you how it would be useful to you, please do get in touch in the chat. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Anna to talk about the sister product for charter management.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joe. So, like you were saying, we do have our sister product, which is our APA charter management platform. So, if I share my screen today, you'll be able to see at a first glance, it looks very similar to the operational platform that Joe has just so caringly, lovingly gone through for us today. The key difference between the two platforms, if you do end up having both of our products, is the colouring difference. So you know for a fact when you are on your APA, you'll be looking at the orange. If you're on the operational, you'll be looking at that Volley blue. We do also apply that to our integrated cards for you as well to help prevent the mix and match of spending funds for operational on charter and vice versa. One big thing that we always get told here in the implementation and in the training team in those sessions is with charters, it takes a while to keep on top of everything. We've got Excel sheet after Excel sheet. How do we manage everything? So now within our APA platform, we have this new functionality that some of you might have seen from a previous webinar recently, and that is our plus new charter. So with this allows for you to create a new charter for that next guest coming on board within a couple of clicks. As we can see, I already have a couple set up because you can manage more than one charter at a time. So if you have a very busy med season, a very busy Caribbean season, you've got back-to-back charters, you can start provisioning and planning all of it at the same time because you can keep the funds separate and keep the allocation separate as well. The plus new charter button, if I go into it today, is very straightforward. So you would click onto here with the relevant permissions. Again, the APA software has all the same functionality and permissions that the operational would, and we can cater it to how you guys want to work. So with this plus new charter, again, we can set that up for you. You will be able to create the charter name for the guest that you're having on board, how much their charter is going to be, and then where it comes from. When we click add charter, it will add it here to the dashboard in the platform. So when you first log in, you get to see what is happening with that particular charter guest. But throughout the platform, it has also then created our reporting function of cost centers, which will allow for you to assign the transactions to the guest. So as you go through the platform, so if I go into our banking page today, we will be able to see our separate charters we have set up. So I've got a couple here today for our reporting. We still have our integrated accounts available for you to use, those prepaid cards. But what then happens as you're processing those transactions, assigning them to the charter guests, you are building the report to give to that guest at the end of the charter. So if I go into our reports tab today, so I've got my current charter at the moment. So my guest Liam is on board for, again, another couple of days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to view the report, and everything I've assigned to that charter guest is listed here for me. So as soon as the money has hit the Voly account, we can see that any cash withdrawals, any card expenditure, invoice for wire payments, all of this is cataloged here for us. So even if it is that you've not yet made those payments to those suppliers for that charter guest, that funds, those money have been deducted already for you. So again, you know exactly what's been spent and you can set money aside. A great thing about all of this as well is because the APA is the sister platform to the operational, if you do happen to have both of our products, you can actually send cross charges between the account. So let's say we've paid for fuel, you want to send that money back, you've already paid it from that operational account when you fueled up at the start of the week, before the trips, whatever it may be, and you want to send that back across, you can do that with our systems. Again, if you're looking for that most competitive rate, we would get you in touch with Henry in the Treasury team, and they'd be able to have a look at that with you as well. As well as adding this information onto your reports, a new feature that has come onto our APA platform now, which we'll see here at the top, is our Projects Lite. So this connects with our Pinpoint Works product, which Stu is going to go into a lot more detail for you, but again, a quick snapshot today. So what you can do in Pinpoint and connect to Voly is you can catalog your charter guest damages. So we can see I've got my guest broke a door handle, we've got some carpet burns, and we want to charge those damages to our guest. So by adding it to the system, by coming to this page and ticking this box and clicking add invoice, we can assign that to that charter guest and make them pay for those damages they've caused whilst they've had their time on board. When you have all of this added to the platform, when you have that report ready to go, what you can do is download it out of Voly and it'll look something like this. So I've bundled together our report pack for our charter guest. We have a full breakdown of that report with all of their damages, the costs, what they've bought, what they've been doing whilst on board. And then as I scroll through, we have that final sheet, which is what you want to show that guest before they leave. And that's that sign off. You want them to give the okay with how much is remaining. Are they wanting to leave it as tip? Are they happy with what's been broken down? You get them to sign this before they leave, and you can record that into the platform already for you. Like I said, if you're wanting more in-depth demo about the APA platform and how it fully works, do get in contact and let us know. And if you're wanting to know a little bit more about the projects and the Pinpoint products, we're going to pass over to Stu now, who will take over for us and go through all of that for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Anna. So Pinpoint Works is a worklist communication platform. It's used by shipyards, operational yachts, maintenance teams, contractors, and management companies. As with Voly, it's all about the communication. We've got an audible trail where every change that is made within the system is going to be tracked, and we use the yacht's general arrangement for that location-based tracking. When we take a look at the system in real time, you can see the exact location of all of the jobs with pins or areas, and we can zoom in to any position on the GA, and that's going to automatically filter the works. It is a simple system to use to be able to filter through and view all of your jobs and any of the changes that are happening in real time. With a couple of clicks from our work list, we can export to PDF. This is a huge time saver. It can be done by using the application on your mobile during your walkarounds or at any time by any of the crew. And this is one of the things that we stress. The more you can give permission to the crew to add any type of defect, any type of job that they are doing, the better the documentation you've got on board. But it takes the weight off the captains, the heads of department, and the management companies to have to create or recreate this work. We want to take away all of the duplication and make it as simple as possible for everybody to manage such large projects or operations. This PDF is the industry standard now. It's going to take the location on the general arrangement and format all of those photos into something that looks like this. There's no more need to waste hours and hours formatting reports. Pinpoint Works will do that for you with just a couple of clicks. When you have all of your jobs or a single job that you want to quote, we also have a single point export. And this is a PDF that will show a larger version of the general arrangement and then also the photo as well. When you're taking a look at the point card has a title. That's the minimum amount of information that you need to go into Pinpoint, and then you can create a point. From there, you can also add that pin location on the right-hand side or the area, and that's the area that we're seeing at the moment. And then you can upload photos directly from the app. So if the crew are walking around with their mobiles, which most likely they will be, then you can upload directly from there, and then you'll be able to see all of those changes coming through or updates coming through in real time from the dashboard. When I take a look at the assignees, the tags, and then the list of custom fields, this is where we're trying to take people away from the Excel spreadsheets and put them into Pinpoint. With Excel, it's difficult to know who is using the system. The tracking is often non-existent. And in Pinpoint Works, anytime that somebody makes a change, you're going to see that record within the point card and the activity history. The activity history will look something like this. Here we can see the person who made the change that was made, and then also the date and time. So that becomes incredibly relevant when you're talking about a deckhand taking a photo and saying that during the middle of a refit that the contractor was not on board today. It certainly helps with those difficult conversations when you're dealing with third parties like shipyards or contractors to be able to track exactly what is happening. And it's also going to help with generating accurate quotes. So when you can have a conversation through Pinpoint with your contractors or your shipyards, then all of that is tracked. That will take you away from all of your emails. We're trying to take people away from emails, those WhatsApp groups that Joe talked about that are great for sending information, but are not good for that transparency and accountability of has that job actually been done or not. So it keeps everything in context and up to date. When we look at how you generate these, how you add the users, here is an example of a deckhand. With a deckhand, you can add them as a normal user or a guest user, and that could be for anybody else on board or within your team as a contractor. And you can also hide what they don't need to see. So again, getting everybody to work on the one platform and only see what they want to see. That's going to speed up the communications. And then if we're looking at an Excel spreadsheet, if you're currently using Excel and you want to move away from it, then you'll see that Pinpoint Works does format in a very similar way. Here we've got all of our columns. All of those custom fields can be replicated from your current processes. And then from your current process, you can then take advantage of the location on the GA and then also the ability to upload those photos really quickly. Pinpoint can be used for operational work lists for departments, also your refits and yard work. It can be used for new build documentation, anything from a construction log to drawing approval and room acceptance. So there's no limit to how Pinpoint can be used. If you're on the dashboard, you will see all of those updates in real time. And then if you're managing a fleet, you will be able to pull in all of the information across all of the sites and vessels that you have access to see one summary of exactly what's happening within your fleet. This is incredibly invaluable for you to be able to go in, see any of the red flags, interrogate further to know what's happening on board and where you may need to action anything of note. We now have a reminders feature. This is going to be fantastic. Proactive reminders within the system and then also to email to remind you on a specific point or within the system like a calendar. So those reminders are going to pop up here. They already can be sent to email, which will look like this. And then in the next 3 to 6 months, you will have reminders that you can add for other users, and then in 6 months we're going to have recurring reminders and recurring tasks, which is going to take us down a path of planned maintenance. So again, just trying to bring as much of the yacht operations into one platform, take you out of Excel, take you out of WhatsApp groups and emails, and make everything more accountable from there. When you're doing these large refits, it is a huge amount of work and you could have hundreds and hundreds of jobs that you're trying to manage. On the finance side, it is a nightmare to be able to add all of those invoices into the system. Let's say we're adding it into the Voly projects module, and I'm going to show you how you're going to save a huge amount of time. Just as Anna and Joe have showed us, we've got our traditional dashboard for Voly. At the top, once the projects has been activated, then we can go into our projects and we're going to see the Pinpoint Works work list pushed into the Voly format. So here is the same work list that I was showing you before on Pinpoint Works. I can scroll through, I can see all of those jobs. So what happens is when one of those invoices comes through, and it may be an invoice for one item, or it may be an invoice for multiple items, then I can click multiple items and then start adding that invoice as per the standard practice at the moment. The time saving is that you don't need to fill in any of those additional fields, you know the description, the title is already added. Yes, we can add the categories, we can add the budgets, the cost centers, and then the amount as well. Once all of that information has been added, it's going to be logged against that specific job. So here we can see our leak on the generator, the heat exchanger, and then we've added 2 of those invoices within the Voly system. Once that has been added within Voly, it's going to be pushed into Pinpoint. So there's no duplication of work. Your finance team is working in conjunction with your project team. And then the Pinpoint Works point card is going to look like this. We're going to have our grand total, 4,000, and then we can see it itemized for those 2 invoices that have been paid. Now that Pinpoint Works also has formulas, you're going to be able to match up any of those cost fields with specific formulas to help you manage and make sure that the projects finish on time and on budget when it is in your power. As per what Joe and Anna said, we also have all of our budgeting and reporting. We have our transaction category report that can be added or selected for specific refit periods or date ranges, and then also the budget to actual. So you can go in and interrogate any of the information that's been added through projects, and that will be visible within the Voly system. So that is how Pinpoint Works has now been integrated with Voly. And then we're going to hand over now to Stuart Willis, who is from workrest and is going to talk about their workrest app and software, and then also how that is going to integrate with Voly Crew Solutions and payroll. Over to you, Stu.
Amazing. Thank you, Stu. Stu number 2 here. Right. Hi, everyone. Great to see you all. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. So yeah, as Stu mentioned, I'll be running you through the Voly Crew Solutions, or the VCS elements, and the workrest elements. So as Joe mentioned, both VCS and workrest are relative newcomers to the Voly Group, having both been acquired in the second half of 2024, with the goal of building an end-to-end payroll and leave management solution. So VCS, which was formerly Voynich, has been a global provider of payroll and crew services for over 20 years. Services range from straightforward payroll-only services through to full employment, with VCS currently responsible for the legal employment of around 4,500 seafarers. And for vessels using VCS, they will now get access to the workrest leave platform as part of their package to manage leave and rotation schedules for their crew, and get instant access to the data they'll need to facilitate payroll. So additionally to the leave platform, workrest also offers an hours of rest solution as well as an in-out functionality, which we're going to cover briefly on the call today. So the workrest platform essentially consists of an app for crew and a dashboard for HODs, managers, and captains. The app gives crew the ability to view their leave schedules, log their hours of rest, and find out how much leave they've accrued for any given day and time. And then on the dashboard, vessel admins can view their leave and rotation schedules, check out their accrued leave balances for any crew, and manage everything they need to on that side. So let me go ahead and share the workrest Gantt chart to run through in situ. So right, here you can see the workrest leave Gantt chart. So the Gantt chart, each department on the vessel will have their own Gantt chart, and that Gantt chart can be viewed from a yearly basis, which is what we're looking at here, or it can be viewed at a quarterly basis or a monthly basis. And you can also filter the Gantt chart to view only the positions that you want to see. So you can really build the Gantt chart to only give you the information that is useful and relevant to you at that given moment in time. The Gantt chart itself is showing you the leave periods, and the leave periods are these color-coded sections here. And the color coding essentially aligns with the type of leave that's been scheduled. So here we're looking at 38 days of rotational leave as this purple leave period here. And down here, we've got a 35-day leave period, which is a paid leave period, and 42 days of compassionate leave that has been assigned here. So we have just over 40 different types of leave that you can schedule for crew, and you can schedule leave directly within the Gantt chart by clicking on a crew members row, which brings up the leave scheduler. And the leave scheduler essentially allows you to input all of the different information that you require for the leave period. So you can add things like travel days, flight information, as well as the different types of leave and the duration and all the things like that. So you've got everything that you need here. You can add comments throughout the process and customize it in whichever means makes the most sense for your vessel. So outside of simply being able to view and schedule leave, one of the core benefits of using the workrest leave platform is being able to get the accrued leave balance for any crew member for any given day and time, which is obviously used for things like payroll. So in order to get that accrued leave balance, you essentially, each crew member has their own contract within workrest. And the contract includes information like start dates, trial periods, what type of contract they have, and then their annual leave entitlement. You can essentially customize the contract to work for whichever makes sense for your crew and on your vessel. So here we're looking at how the calculation step is made up for the contract. So you can set whether the crew member should accrue leave evenly over 365 days, or whether they should only accrue leave when the crew member is on the vessel. You can also set whether or not it should be a day-by-day accrual rate or a calendar month accrual rate here. And then once you've set that for a crew member, you can also save this as a contract profile. You can give it a name, so you can have a time-for-time rotation, a 4-on-1-off rotation, 5-on-1-off rotation. And then what that means is when you come and set up another crew member, you can simply apply the contract profile to that crew member, which benefits in two ways. It's very, very simple to set up, so it saves you a lot of time, and also make sure that each crew member has the correct entitlement profile for their position. So that's how you'd set that up. As soon as you've got that, the information that you need for things like payroll can then be generated through the summary page. So this summary page, it defaults to looking at a given month, but I can change this for a yearly date range, so that's a calendar year, or I can change it to a custom date range to be whichever date range makes the most sense for you. And then the report underneath is showing you within that time frame how many days the crew member's been on board, how much leave they've taken, how many travel days, how many salary days, and at the end of it, what their balance is, their accrued leave balance at the end of that period. This report can also be exported either via a CSV, or you can print it as a PDF. So you can export it in a couple of different ways. So this report is really useful to see all the information you need at a top level for all of your crew. You can also filter it for, again, either departments or positions. If you want to break down the information to look at a specific crew member, the best way to do that would be via the reports page here. So this reports page allows you to filter for a specific crew member, and then underneath you'll get to see their calendar for the entire year. And the calendar is showing us the days that they've worked and the days that they have on leave. And if I hover my mouse over any day in any of the calendars, underneath here where it says travel, that will shift to balance, and you can see what their accrued leave balance is for any given day and time for that crew member. So it's a really good page to sense check how much leave they've accrued and what's impacting their balance over the course of the year. So that's essentially from a top level view of the leave side of things. So as we mentioned earlier, separate to this is the hours of rest product. So I'll briefly show you how that works. So the different workrest products can be filtered here on the left-hand side. So we're now looking at the hours of rest side of things. So the hours of rest page is looking at a given month, and within that given month, each crew member has their own calendar, and the calendar will update automatically based on the hours of rest that crew have logged through the workrest app. As an admin, you can go in and click into any given day to see the logged day that the crew member has logged on the app. I can also go and log a day through the dashboard simply by clicking and dragging my cursor to add work entries. We've also got the compliance calculation running all the time as you go and enter the work periods as well. So we're giving you all the compliance information that you'd need for hours of rest compliance. Once you've completed a month, I go back to a completed month, so I'm going back to April here at the top. To sign off the timesheet, you can simply go and click the sign off timesheet button underneath the crew member's calendar. That then sends the timesheet as an email off to the crew member, so they have access to it. And then myself as an admin, I can export the timesheet either individually here, or I can click the export all button here, which will wrap up all of my monthly timesheets for the crew, and then I can access them via the exports page here. And then finally, we touched on it briefly, but the in-out product, which is currently in beta, so it's not a chargeable product, but it's something we're adding functionality to throughout the course of this year. So the in-out board essentially replaces the physical in-out board that you see in many vessels at the end of the passerelle, where crew can check themselves in or out of the vessel. So this is a shared in-out board that's been designed to be used on an iPad. And again, you can use it on an always-on iPad outside the crew mess doors or at the end of the passerelle, whichever makes the most sense. And crew can simply check themselves in or out of the board by touching on the in-out section here. The benefit of using the workrest in-out board is essentially crew have access to this share board through their workrest app. So crew can not only check themselves in or out via the app, but they can also see the status of other crew via the app as well. So it gives visibility of the in-out board to everyone wherever they are on the vessel. It also integrates nicely with the leaves side of the product. So any crew that are set as on leave will automatically filter into the away section. So you don't have to update that for crew as and when they do depart on leave. So that pretty much wraps up the workrest side of things. If there is anyone that specifically wants to dive into a more in detailed demo, let us know. We can set that up and jump onto that. And otherwise, I will pass on to Henry to cover the final stage of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Stu. That brings us off rather nicely onto the payments and treasury desk, which is manned by myself and my colleagues Irfin Checker and James Davis, who a few of you might have worked with previously. So first and foremost, just going back to where it all began, as Joe says, the purpose of adding on the payments platform was really just to create that perfectly streamlined auto reconciliation piece from the card through to the banking. Now, what most people don't know, actually, when they open a Voly account, is that you actually open up a set of multi-currency accounts. So as you can see on a screen here, we've got a euro, a sterling, and a dollar account. And obviously our plan is in the near future to extend a few more currencies to that. Hopefully that will allow us to support clients holding Aussie dollars, New Zealand dollars, dirhams, Canadian dollars, and so on. Now, what we've got once the funds are in, most clients quite simply using it for invoice payments and to manage their foreign exchange requirements. This is a model shot of one of the demo banking screens that we've set up. And as you can see below, we've got a series of FX conversions and payments as well. As Joe stated, just to reinstate it, when you are operating out of your Voly Euro account, you will be able to send SEPA payments free of charge. When you're operating out of your dollar float, you can send local USD payments via ACH, and you can also send faster payments free of charge via Faster as well. So using this little screenshot below, as you can see, we've had this account, we've converted some dollars into some euros at a very competitive rate. And then what's followed is we have two line items for bank payments being sent out to the suppliers. Again, no account charges after them as running via the SEPA method. Now, the transfer funds button that we've got highlighted in the top corner is something that is now available for all users, for all admins with the right permissions, and it's something that you can do yourselves. You can also get in touch directly with the Treasury desk, Irfin, James and myself, and if there's anything of larger value, we're more than welcome to offer some more strategic advice on the market. With regards to Pinpoint Works, as Stu's touched upon, it's just another level of a great communication tool, really rounding off the ecosystem for all stakeholders that have got any yard, refit, any work that needs doing at all within the vessel. And what we've got here with the projects tab, as Stu said, is we've got job number 22 pulled from Pinpoint Works. And quite simply, this is giving us one platform, one version of the truth where we can add in all our invoices below. This was actually a dollar vessel, so they loaded some dollars onto the platform. We converted the required amount for the euro invoice. And as you can see, we can all log on and see whether that's from the project manager, the management, the owner, the admins. We've got one place where we can see that the payments are up to date and everything is being paid away. Anna talked very briefly about Voly APA, and this is probably one of our simplest and most used tools, and it's a really great piece of kit to use specifically from the banking perspective. This will look exactly the same to any of the operational accounts. This will come as no surprise. Everything is universal, no matter what you're using on Voly. And again, a list of payments, and people are using these accounts, pay suppliers, bunkering charges, and if there's some funds or when there's some funds left over on the APA, you can pay crew tips. Where it gets quite interesting from a banking perspective is something that's been quite popular of late, and that is using your Voly APA account to receive charter income to send those funds back over to the operational float. So if we take a charter agent who's sending 340,000 euros, we can see 90,000 is going off to the Voly APA as per normal to use on the card expenditure. And what we can see around the top is probably a pretty standard process within the industry. Not everyone will do this, but more times than not, this is what will happen. And as you can see, we've got a few different transactions where there's going to be hidden wire fees, and it's definitely some hidden foreign exchange costs in there. In the example above, we could see that the euros are actually being converted twice to get back to euros in the first place. What we can do on Voly is quite simply have the funds landed onto your APA account and then instantly transferred over to your operational account, keeping things efficient financially and from a logistical standpoint for all onboard and onshore admins. As touched upon, workrest and VCS are the newest members to the Voly Group. And at the minute, truth be told, probably has the least amount of synergy with the banking platform. But rest assured, in the near future, just as your invoices and your supplier invoices have been pulling and generating on your financial management page, that will be no different to your payroll invoices and the salaries that will all be manageable from under one roof. So keep an eye out for this space. The final piece that would be quite remiss of me not to touch upon is the great work we've been doing with Lantamar Yachting, who are a customs and VAT agent in Spain. Now, they will take any vessel that is non-EU flagged, and it also has a non-EU owner. You are exempt to missing out on the VAT within these waters. They're a great team, and most importantly, they're very easy to deal with. We've already got 2 or 3 great testimonials from clients that have used them over this winter period. And what's more important is that some of the agents in Lantamar are actually Voly trained, and they are actually able now to work alongside yourselves if you're using the Voly financial management platform. Imagine that with projects, and then imagine that going through the TPA process as well. And it's creating one ecosystem to minimize all communications and dirty air that's not required when we're looking at 500, 600, 700 invoices throughout the course of a 6-month refit. I do appreciate that that was a pretty quick overview on my behalf, but my colleagues have done a pretty good job at touching on everything that had gone before us. As Joe said, you can see on the screen, we're not far away from having a completely ERP solution in the yachting industry, and it's something we're all extremely proud of. If you are a client of any of the products discussed, and you see something today that might be of interest to you, then please reach out to your account manager, and I'm sure they'll point you in the right direction. Conscious of time, I think that we've got a little bit left if there is any questions to send over in the chat function. But thank you very much for joining us. And as I said, everything that you've seen today wouldn't be possible without all of our great clients. So the floor is yours for any further questions.
So I'll just pick up on one quick one that I've seen come through throughout the webinar there, which was how easily can the Voly projects module be set up? So this is from one of our clients who already uses Voly operational and also has a Pinpoint work account. Now the answer is it's really quick to set up. There's just a one-time integration you need to perform. All you do is on Voly in the projects tab, you log in using your Pinpoint works account, consent to the sharing of data, and then consent to the sharing of data, and then everything will pull through. You only need to do that once, and then that will be done, and you can see everything update live from then on. So that's one question there. I think there's a couple of others that my colleagues might answer. So I think maybe one for you, Stu Boyd.
Yep. Just is there any functionality to track engine hours and perform preventative maintenance tasks? We can track engine hours, however, we're not a planned maintenance system, so we don't want to go in that direction just yet with what we have in Pinpoint. However, for the preventative maintenance tasks, then that is something that will be coming. So we have within the next 3 to 6 months, we will have recurring tasks. It can be set up for engine hours. It can be set up for changing oil or anything to that detail. And then no doubt after that, in time, there will be a planned maintenance system coming to the Voly Group as well. However, The answer to the question is you could do it. We are not an accredited planned maintenance system, but the functionality is coming that's going to make that really interesting for you.
Thanks, Stu. I think last but not least, before we just round off, then we've got some lovely feedback there from one of our current clients, which is really nice. So thank you very much for that, saying you're currently using Voly and love it, still learning, but you love Voly. And that's what we really want, is to hear that positive feedback. And obviously that will only get better as the group integrates more and more with our products. So just really just to say thank you so much. Like Henry said, we couldn't do it without the support of our clients and your continued custom. So thank you all so much for being on this journey with us. Thank you to my colleagues for joining this webinar. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and no doubt our marketing team will be in touch with the next webinar shortly. So any questions you've got, drop us an email, start a live chat. But other than that, we'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks very much, everybody. Speak to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.